Hey, so guys, Roxcall here, and today I wanted to talk about the recent Twins rework that came to the PTB. If you didn't know already, this rework gave Victor the ability to injure healthy survivors without grabbing them, and after they are hit, Victor can no longer be kicked. He also instead now grabs injured survivors you down with him, then forces you to switch back to Charlotte, and you get a 10% speed boost for as long as Victor is on the survivor. On top of that, they also got a bunch of quality of life changes I'll put on the screen now if you want to read. Now, I think me reading this off probably already set a bunch of alarm bells for those who haven't seen the PTB yet, because this is of course extremely busted. All those major changes did was make it so Victor could just freely double hit and down a survivor with little to no punishment. Now, I think something to learn from this PTB is that maybe the problems with them aren't exactly what we all thought before. To understand this better, I feel like I should go into the history of the Twins a bit. Now, I've seen a lot of people say that this PTB was like the worst PTB of all time. How about I bring you back to November 10th, 2020, the Twins release PTB. This was definitely one of the biggest bug messes of a patch to ever release to the game. For example, a lot of the times you used Victor, you would get stuck in the ground and be locked out. You also couldn't do anything as Victor when a survivor just went into a locker. There was no animation grab like we have now. Victor also could literally just be left in front of a hook to face camp survivors. I could go on and on, but I think you get the idea. Over the years, these problems were slowly fixed, but a lot of the sluggishness of their powers still persists to this day. Like, if we look at the Twins on the live game right now, after you down a survivor, you're stuck in this long animation and it doesn't let you switch back, thus honestly promoting you to slug even more. Switching back to Charlotte doesn't feel great either, with another long animation playing too. Twins are also still able to face camp on both live and PTB, with all you having to do is plopping Victor right next to the hook you're about to hook someone on after you down them. It just all feels super awful to play as and against, and it doesn't seem like these issues were really solved in the PTB. The PTB actually seemed to cause more issues rather than solve them, with the Twins feeling less counterable, and slugging still being promoted via the Charlotte speed boost. So if the PTB rework didn't fix the Twins, how can we fix them? In my opinion, I think this PTB and looking back at the Twins release taught me that the base concept of the power was actually mostly fine. It was still just rough around the edges from that first release and wasn't properly fixed. Now I'm going to get into what changes I would make, but before I do that, I want to talk about the changes I would keep or remove from this PTB, because I don't think they are all necessarily bad. The changes I don't want to see in the main game are pretty much all the major ones they did to the Twins. Like Victor not grabbing people that are healthy but grabbing injured people should probably not be in the game, as it just feels too uncounterable as Survivor. Especially since Victor can no longer be kicked after successful attacks, which I don't like either. It makes endurance feel pretty much useless against Victor, and would counteract changes I want to make later. Another thing I would remove is being able to switch between Victor and Charlotte around hooks. I get that they added this because of the anti-camp feature being in the game. However, the fact that the Twins can still be on two sides of the map at once makes me think it would still be a strong strategy, and there are better ways to get around it. Victor not showing killer instinct on survivors he has grabbed, I also want to remove back to normal so it doesn't incentivize people to hold Victor hostage as much. Finally, the 10% haste Charlotte gets after Victor downs a survivor or traps him in a locker is a decent idea. However, I kind of want to change how it's applied so it accidentally doesn't promote slugging like it does now. I'll get to that later in the changes I would make section. The changes I want to keep are mostly quality of life things that they added. Like being able to recall Victor at any point when he's unbound feels really nice, and I don't see any bad things about keeping this one. Decreasing the time it takes to switch back to Charlotte also feels really good, and we should definitely keep it. Same goes for the decreased time to unbind Victor and the decreased time it takes to pounce. I do think the toy sword should be reworked to compensate, since decreasing this even further still makes it one of Twins' best add-ons. Victor showing up on a visual tear radius is also good, of course, for those who are hard of hearing. And the final quality of life change I would keep is the increased cooldown after Victor is kicked, as I always felt that the punishment for Victor being kicked was too short. Honestly, maybe think it should be a little longer than this, like 15 seconds. But 10 seconds is okay for now. Now that we got the changes I would keep applied to the current live version of the Twins, what else would I add to make them feel better to play? For buffs, my goal is to make the killer feel less sluggish to play and encourage more healthy playstyles. First one being now you have the ability to immediately switch back to Charlotte after you down a survivor. This with the decreased time it takes to switch back to Charlotte would make it feel much better. To incentivize Charlotte switching back as soon as the survivor is downed, you'll get a 10% haste buff for 15 seconds when switching back during Victor's hit stun duration. If a chase is started with a survivor during this duration, the effect is removed. And finally, I would make it so when Victor grabs healthy survivors, he can be recalled at any point. The cooldown will also be like 10 to 15 seconds to prevent spam. This is just to make it so survivors can't hold your power hostage, because I always thought that was pretty dumb. Besides some reworks of the add-ons, I think this is the only buffs this killer needs. Again, most of the quality of life changes they made on the PTB are actually really good, so not much else is needed, I don't think. For the nerfs, I want to make it so Victor feels more counterable, and also make it so the killer can't do unhealthy tactics towards you. First, if Victor is within 60 meters of a hook, he is automatically killed and given back to Charlotte. This, on top of still not being able to switch between the two within 60 meters, will make face camping as this killer pretty much impossible, which I think is for the best. Counter slugging a bit more, I also increased the vulnerable duration of his pounce after downing somebody from 5 to 6 seconds. Since he can now switch back to Charlotte within this time frame, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to increase the duration for more anti-slug counterplay. Again, besides some add-on changes, this is all I would do myself really. Nothing major, as I don't actually think this killer needed such drastic gameplay changes. Just some buffs and nerfs, and a lot of changes focusing on quality of life. We definitely don't want the no counterplay 2-tap Victor from the PTB. Instead, I think a sort of map control killer with a solid chase power is a better playstyle. Other than that, that's all I had for today. You can let me know your own thoughts on my changes or the PTB in general in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Rock skull. All he wants to do is stream all night. Lobby full, rock skull. Never gonna play with me, but it's alright.